And ladies and gentlemen, this is Mampolo from Mampolo's Canal. Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri, not be that they call you. This is your interview now. Wow. This is your interview. They confuse me. Sometimes people like say they praise the obedient and obedient movement. Sometimes people like say they praise Peter Obi. Which one be say you tell people when they call people obedient, they are not okay. That obedient people have done a very excellent job. They have done a very good job. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I understand what they talk. At some point, they talk say, if Peter Obi had not left the PDP for win election, you still they praise Peter Obi and the obedient now. Okay. At some point, they talk say, there's no how Peter Obi would have won this 2023 election. Because say you not get coverage, you not get spread. I know you are confusing me. Can you? I know they like your interview. You know they did one place. Can you stop confusing me? Are you praising the obedient and Peter Obi that they have done well, or are you praising? Are you regretting that Peter Obi left PDP? Which one are you? Which one are you doing? There's no doubt that PDP and yourself, you people are now regretting that Peter Obi left PDP. Not gonna make condition unbearable for them when make gonna leave. When make now to win election for PDP become very hard thing. Now you do no hand. Bring the fire when they burn on one. No, they ask the question, you go to dodge. You go to answer question one another, understand. No, obedient people have done well, to have done very well within 8 months. Obedient people, they wouldn't have won under Labour, but if they were in PDP, they would have PDP would have won. And anybody that said that Peter Obi have not done well, you are confusing me. You are confusing me. In fact, I don't want to talk too much. For those who never see this confusion, watch the video.
So let's start with the latest comment, of course, made by President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, describing the combined opposition as a victim of overconfidence. Now, responding to this, PDP's National Publicity Secretary has, of course, come out to say that in itself is dividing, the country. He believes that this is the kind of statement that should not be put out. Now, I want to know, he's also described this as it's causing apprehension, capable of destroying the country's corporate existence as a nation, and even gone further to call on the international community to impose visa bans and other travel restrictions on President Muhammadu Buhari over his comments on the 2023 Nigerian elections. He spoke about the fact that he was gloating over the worst election in recent memory. Now, I want to get your reaction to that, and also PDP has also, even said that the president is attempting to bully the judiciary, which is currently handling electoral petitions. I want to know your thoughts about that, and if you believe that this is a statement that should not have been put out in the first place.
Well, the president is a military man, and these are the kinds of things that military men will say when they get excited. We've had a former military president in the person of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and when he got excited, he made similar comments before the election and after the election. So these are the kinds of things that that he would say. I am more focused on our case right now at the PEPC, the Presidential Election Petition Court. I think that we've got a good case, and I think that if we focus on the case rather than on politics like the statements made by the president, then we're going to go far. This man is about to lose office. He's about to leave office. He's going to be out of office in a month's time. So he should really not be our focus. Our focus should be on reclaiming our mandate that was taken from us during the election, because those elections had issues. Now, on the specifics about the PDP spokesman's messages to General Muhammadu Buhari, look, right now, Buhari is going to say whatever he wants to say. His mind is out of Aso Rock. He's not our issue right now. So even if the international community puts a visa ban on him, it's not something that's going to really help us or going to really help the country. Let's focus right now on our court case. That's what I'm going to say on that.
So is it relevant now?
If we're focusing on our court case, Reno Omokri, good morning and good to have you. I'm sure you have read the robust response from your principal, Atiku Abubakar, to the preliminary objections opposing the petition that he filed challenging Tinubu as winner of the election. Now, Tinubu, in his preliminary objection, described Atiku as a serial loser, which Atiku actually agreed to. But then he went further to label Tinubu all sorts, including accusations of perjury over his alleged dual citizenship status and, drug-related records. I'd like your thoughts on that. And also, should your principal lose at the tribunal, do you think he would contest again and, perhaps toe the path of American President Joe Biden, who has just announced his re-election bid at 80? He'll be 86 when he leaves office.
You know, go answer, Amo. You're going to talk another thing. You're confusing me.
Well, on the specific issue, we're still in the election season, so of course you're going to have bombastic statements. So when you have Bola Tinubu making that kind of statement, it's going to be tit for tat. But if we focus on the issue, I think Bola Tinubu let's talk about the Ghanaian passport, for example. Now, with the Ghanaian passport, I'm not sure that that is an issue that we should put all gunpowder to. Because if you look at the laws, of the United States, the United Kingdom, diplomatic passports can be issued to persons who are non-citizens. It's rare, but if you look at the Code of Federal Regulations, if you look at Title 22, I believe it's in Chapter 1, Subchapter 5, the United States can and has given diplomatic passports to non-citizens. Also, the United Kingdom, if you look at, currently, if you go on their site for the Home Office, they have given diplomatic passport to non-citizens. So the Vienna Convention allows it. So it makes a distinction. There are people that can be referred to as nationals, and there are people that are referred to as citizenship. That's why a lot of people don't know that the standard passport is actually stronger than the diplomatic passport. The diplomatic passport comes with a lot of limitations. So a country like Guinea, and I'm not speaking, I don't know the specifics of the situation. They could do all kinds of things. They could have given him that. What we should focus on at the tribunal, in my own opinion, is the fact that Bola Tinubu has links with the drug cartel. And according to our laws, and also according to the laws of the United States, when you forfeit money, it's taken as a conviction. So if website, and I'm going to quote for it, asset forfeiture, and this is a quote, asset forfeiture is a form of penance for criminals. The word used is criminals. So that is what we should focus on, and we should be able to make our case before the tribunal that this man forfeited drug funds, and in Nigerian law and the United States law, those who forfeit are taken to be convicts. Now, that is a stronger case. A lot of people look at these things politically. Maybe because I have a master's of law in law and I schooled in the United Kingdom, I tend to look at it from a legal perspective. Our best point is to focus on this man's known drug past.
All right, Reno. The petitions are before the tribunal, and I understand the point that you are trying to make, focusing on certain allegations that are component of the petition. But of course, that part of what you are saying got a response from the head of the NDLA, General Buba Marwa, who's saying that those who are asking the agency to look into it have been mischievous, because Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was never tried or convicted in America, and therefore it's a dead on arrival kind of request. But I'm saying this just an aside, just for you to bear in mind that even the NDLA has formally reacted on that matter. But I'm interested in what you said earlier.
No, the action from the NDA is completely different, and we shouldn't conflate issues, we shouldn't, compare oranges to apples. The NDA was asked, to open an investigation into Bola Tinubu. That's a completely different issue. And, if I were the person, I wouldn't have made such a request, because the matter has been settled in the United States District Court. I happen to have gone to Chicago, and on this station you actually played video of myself being in Chicago. That matter is settled. So yeah, there was a conviction. because he paid some money as forfeiture. So you cannot begin to ask the NDLEA to open a case into that. That issue has been settled. So when you have a forfeiture or a conviction, that means that criminal matter has been settled. However, in the laws of Nigeria, if you have been convicted for such an offense, then you are ineligible to be president of Nigeria. Now, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not asking NDLEA to open a case that has already been settled. I hope you understand what I'm talking about now.
Yes, I understand you, but I hope you understand that the final settlement on the matter will come from the Supreme Court, and of course the entire country awaits what will happen. My question, to go back to what you said earlier about your mandate, the mandate of the PDP being stolen. I want some clarity on that. Are you saying by that submission that neither the gentleman who has been declared the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, nor Peter Obi, who came third by INEC's declaration, won that election? And you are saying categorically by the petition that your party has submitted that indeed Atiku Abubakar won that election. And secondly, if you don't mind, I would like you to clarify the tweet that you put out clarifying your position on why you were so ferocious in your attack on the Obidients, the supporters of Peter Obi, and that you did all that just because you wanted your party to win, and that rather than call them Obidiots, as some will derogatorily call them, that you think that they are Obigeniuses because of what they have been able to do in less than 1 year. Can you clarify that for us, that now that elections are over, you are now you can now acknowledge the fact that indeed a movement like never before happened, and that put the Obidients on the pedestal that people probably ought to applaud them, even if their candidate didn't win.
They don't confess now. They don't confess.
Okay, well, here's the situation. If you look at the last election, and I tend to remove my emotions and hover over things, with an objective eye. If you look at the last elections, in almost 14,000 polling units, they had manual accreditation. Now, this election, the last election, was a technologically driven election. That means that it will be very difficult for you to rig when you follow the rules how it's meant to be. By the Electoral Act, those 14,000 polling units where they had manual accreditation, they ought to have cancelled the elections in those units according to the Electoral Act and then reschedule them. Because when you have a technologically driven elections, you can only rig in areas where technology is not used, and that's in those 14,000 polling units where they had manual accreditation. So, it's even in the United Kingdom where I am right now, in Ireland, the United States, they call it vote early, vote regularly. So you come, you vote early, and then you keep on voting, over voting. So in a situation where you have almost 10%, so we're talking about 8% of the polling units in Nigeria where they did manual accreditation, then the result of that election cannot be credible. So that's what we're talking about. There were 14,000 polling units. You had manual accreditation, and those were the polling units where you had overvoting, where you had rigging. So I'm not saying that the whole election should be cancelled. No. Let's follow the Electoral Act. In those 14,000 polling units where they had overvoting, cancel the elections, follow the Electoral Act, and then have them again. Now, if at the end of the day, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is pronounced the winner, we will accept. If at the end of the day it's Waziri Atiku Abubakar, we will accept. Now to come to the issue you asked me specifically about Peter Obi, am I saying that Peter Obi did not win the election? Listen, yes. Peter Obi, he did well. He did better than a lot of us expected. But if you look at Peter Obi, there was no way Peter Obi could have won the election. It's not possible because Peter Obi could not have gotten spread. I'm going to give you a very good example. If you look at all the Muslim states, Peter Obi did not win in one Muslim state. Come down south. In southern Nigeria, the most Muslim state in terms of demographic is Osun State. He didn't win there. He didn't even, make a good showing there. The next most Muslim state in terms of demographic is Oyo. He didn't make a good showing there. So you go all over the Muslim states, and you see there was a rejection of this man by Muslims because they felt that he had brought in religion into the election. election.
That's not
and
true.
indeed he had. You saw what he did in going to churches, saying, "Church, take back your country," which was something that rallied his base. That is the Christian, especially the Christian South and then the Christian North. But then it's actually, made him repugnant in the Muslim North and in Muslim South. Now, coming over to your other issue, with the Obidients, what the Obidients have done, if you want to be candid, if you have candor, you really have to respect what they've done. Because in less than a year, if you recall, it wasn't up to a year. I believe that he joined Labour Party May last year, and we had the election in February. So this is a period of about 8 months. And in that period of time, this man has been able to galvanize a movement that was able to give him over 6 million votes. Anybody saying that these people are, that they are idiots, Obidients, you're not being very, very wise. If they had joined with the People's Democratic Party, if Peter Obi had not left our party, we would have won the election even with rigging, hands down. So these people, they've actually been able to do something that is very, very commendable. In fact, I foresee that in future, in places like Harvard University, in places like Yale, in places like Oxford, people will study what Peter Obi did, because what Peter Obi did, he almost replicated what Emmanuel Macron did with his party. Emmanuel Macron built a new party, which is unheard of in France, and was able to emerge victorious. The reason why Peter Obi was probably not able to do that in Nigeria is because of election rigging. In Emmanuel Macron's case, he actually appealed to French nationalism. Because in Peter Obi's case, he made the mistake of appealing to religious sentiment. If he had not done that, if probably he had maybe appealed to other things that maybe unite us, probably he would have even won the election. But I can tell you, it is not possible that Peter Obi could have won that election. Only 2 people could have won that election. And I believe that if the votes in those 14,000 polling units where manual accreditation were cancelled, I believe that the PDP stands a very good chance of winning the election.
I had asked you earlier that should your principal lose at the tribunal, this is, coming from Tinubu's preliminary objection, where he described your principal as a serial loser. Jesus. Do you think that he would contest again? As you know, American President Joe Biden has announced his re-election bid. And, like I said, he's turning 80. By the time he leaves office, he will be 86. And your principal is 76 at this time. If he were to contest again, he will be 80. Do you think that he would contest again?
Oji, you asked this question before. You dodge down. You don't want to answer.
Let me clarify something. My principal is the People's Democratic Party and the people of Nigeria. So you have to understand, I am a very loyal party man. I became aligned with the People's Democratic Party in Obasanjo's house in 1998. And for the past 25 years, I haven't looked left or right. I've been loyal to the party. And that's how democracy, party politics should be. So I am very, very loyal to the People's Democratic Party. Whoever emerges as a People's Democratic Party presidential candidate or gubernatorial candidate, I support that person with all my efforts, with all my abilities. So that's it. Now, when you're talking about Waziri Atiku Abubakar, whatever he wants to do, you have to ask him. Now, if he decides to contest again, or if he doesn't decide to contest again, those are his own prerogatives. I'm not going to even speculate about that. What I would say is that the last principle that I had, the last principle that I had was former President Goodluck Jonathan. So when you're talking about what I'm doing right now, I'm doing this because of the People's Democratic Party, because I believe in the party. Now,
guys, when I don't hear my brother, Reno Omokri, they go here, they go there, they go there, they go there, they confuse me. They're confusing me. I don't want to talk too much on this video. When I don't hear them, make una judge about myself. We will present news as it is. Guys, if you love what I'm doing, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter, even on TikTok. All of my followers gonna love you guys. Peace out.